Financial stress, layoffs, demand collapse, defaults, collateral failure. I'm sorry, guys. This is not a cycle, it's a cascade. So here we are, the fifth of the series of the doom loops of a crisis. And I'm going to tell you, if you haven't watched the first one to begin with, watch them all together, because this is where we are in this trend cycle right now. Everything is unfolding. So for a minute, I want you to just picture a long line of dominoes, thousands and thousands of them, stretching across tables throughout the house, all over your structure. Each domino represents a part of the real economy: credit, jobs, spending, production, defaults, collateral, etc. Now, imagine that first domino tilting. It doesn't fall all at once. It wobbles. It hesitates. And then, with one small itty-bitty push, the entire line collapses in perfect sequence. That's how the real economy works too. It doesn't break randomly. It breaks in order. One domino hits the next, and once the chain reaction begins, it's almost impossible to stop. Today, I'm going to show you the exact sequence of those dominoes, the real economy doom loop, and why it always ends in the same place. Now, that first domino, it's energy. And when energy reprices, the entire economy shifts. Oil just isn't a commodity. It's the master domino. And when it rises, every other cost rises behind it. Transportation, manufacturing, food, everything. Logistics? Well, this is the first tilt in the chain. And that next domino to wobble, that's consumer confidence, because that increases inflation. And when consumers expect higher prices, they pull back. This headline captures the moment the second domino falls. Sentiment dips, expectations spike, and households brace for impact. Once consumers step back, that chain reaction, it accelerates. What is the next domino? That's credit. And when JP Morgan restricts private credit lending, that's not a small adjustment. That's the credit domino falling. And we're not just seeing it with JP Morgan, we're seeing with all of the banks and the shadow banks. But the problem is that credit is the oxygen of the real economy when it is a debt-based economy. And when it tightens, businesses suffocate. And when businesses suffocate, they cut. So layoffs are the fourth domino. A 40% workforce reduction isn't a trim. It's a survival move. It's a reset move. Companies don't cut that deep unless they're feeling real stress and they believe that AI will take the place of their current workforce. So layoffs always lead to the next domino, which is demand. And demand collapses. So when consumers take fright, demand collapses. That's simple. This is the moment the domino line speeds up. People stop spending. Businesses stop investing. Inventories pile up and cash flow evaporates. And this economy is dependent on that cash flow. So demand collapse is the point where the loop becomes visible. And once demand collapses, well, guess what follows? Defaults. And defaults are the loud domino, the one everybody hears, and the one that you're probably hearing the talking heads talking about are defaults in that private equity and private credit. Because private credit lenders, they're rattling Wall Street. They're rattling the banking system. because those risky loans are failing. And fears of a bank run? Well, they're no longer hypothetical. Defaults lead directly back into collateral deterioration. Restarting doom loop number 1. And visually, this is exactly what the chain reaction looks like. Do you remember this from 2008 and that crisis? Because one domino hits the next: financial stress, layoffs, demand collapse, defaults, collateral failure. I'm sorry, guys. This is not a cycle, it's a cascade. So the question becomes, what sits outside of this domino chain? Gold and silver, they don't participate in those doom loops. They don't sit in the domino line. They're not part of the chain reaction. They stand apart, untouched by the collapse. Now, I'm not talking about those spot gold and spot silver contracts. I'm talking about the real thing. And history proves it. I've shown you this before. You can see how gold and silver behave during deflationary periods. Because during that time, everything falls except for gold and silver. But commodities collapse, stocks collapse, credit collapses. But gold and silver hold their value because it isn't a domino. It's the table, the foundation that the dominoes sit on. Gold and silver are sound money above all governments and central banks because of their broad-based demand. And in hyperinflation, the pattern is even more clear. When currencies fail, gold doesn't rise. It's currencies that are falling against gold. These charts show the truth, and I can show you 4,800 more if you need to see 4,800 more. But gold, that didn't change. The currency did. This is what changed, or became more honest, I guess we could say. Because gold is the constant. It's the anchor when everything else is collapsing. But physical gold, not digital gold. And that brings us to the final point. Physical gold that holds wealth over time. For thousands and thousands of years, gold has held purchasing power through wars, resets, collapses, and currency failures. It's finite, it's decentralized, it's private, and it's indestructible. Gold is the asset that stands outside the domino line. So let's return back to those dominoes, because when the first domino tilts, you can't stop the chain reaction by grabbing the 10th one. You can't stop it by hoping the middle one stays standing, and you can't stop it by pretending the line is stable, which is what they really try and do. The only way to avoid the collapse is to step out of the line entirely. Food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. These step out of the line. The currency line, that, my friends, is the primary currency metal gold and the secondary currency metal silver. Those step out of the line. They're the one assets, the commodity, the sound money assets that doesn't fail when dominoes fall. It's the one asset that doesn't depend on the system that's collapsing. And in a world where every loop feeds the next, sovereignty, self-sovereignty, begins with the assets that stand outside the chain reaction. That's how you protect your wealth. That's how you protect your future. And that's how you stay standing when all the dominoes finally fail. This is why it is so critically important that you get that sound money strategy in place and executed today. Because I've never seen us be this close, and I've been around for a long time. And I can tell you everything is in place for a major collapse and a major crisis. So sound money has to be that foundation. But you need surety in all those other mantra aspects. And frankly, the only way that I can see it getting done is by everybody in the community bringing in the gifts that they have been given. The people that know how to grow food and manage water and help you with energy and on and on and on in every single mantra area. This is how you sustain a reasonable standard of living, because you step outside of those falling dominoes. And that's what we're here to do on a local basis and also on a global basis. Because do we really want our great-great-great-grandchildren facing the same kind of problem that we're facing today? If we have a choice, I'd say no, we don't. We need to take our power back so this next system that we go into, we have more control. You don't like what you see the government and the central bank doing? Redeemable gold in the monetary system can take care of that issue and force fiscal responsibility and give the public back their power. That's what we need to come together. Citizens for sound money. We can do this. We only need 3% of the global population, and we can demand it back. And how do you participate? You build that community, but all you have to do is convert your fiat money that's being inflated away into sound money that's above their ability to inflate away. That's it. I know that together we can change the world in a positive way for what we're going through today, but all those generations to come. I know we can do this. And until next we meet, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.